My name is Taelor Bakewell. I'm the digital director of the Los Angeles Sentinel. Thank you guys so much all for coming today. We're super excited. We're in for a treat, everyone. We're here with the amazing, talented, multi-dimensional, award-winning Miss Alfre Woodard.
Hi, everybody. Hi. You know when you come home from college and everybody makes you stand up at church? They're like, amen, there she is. I said, you know, I've got 64 years of backstory. So I'll try to chunk some up. Okay. But then you can ask me questions about particular things and I'll tell you a story, and I think that's much more interesting.
There we go. Okay.
So I have two siblings, Marionette Woodard Gibson, Cornell Wally Woodard. They were both educators, principals, coaches, school councils. All my siblings and their spouses have been in education. Education was very important in my family. So I'm not an educator, but I am on the President's Committee on the Arts and Humanities. I was. I sent my resignation letter in 2 days before the inauguration. But one of the things that Obama group was the most active they've ever had. I think within a month, so there's about 30 people on it there, everybody from artists. It was the first time artists were actually asked on to that, to the committee. It's usually just whoever gave a bunch of money and sort of paybacks. But within the first 2 months, we had met more than the 8 years of the Bush administration. Wow. So one of the great projects we did was called Turnaround Arts. And what we did was to accumulate or to gather together all of the information, the data, the hard numbers about how much math scores went up when kids were playing instrumental music, how much the language scores and like history, civil, what do you call it that? Social studies scores went up when they were involved in visual arts. And we knew out there was all this information. Okay, you have to cut me off because I will talk about things a long time. But basically, we knew that how arts not only is part of a complete education, but it actually completes the human being. But when anybody would go up before Congress or the state legislature anywhere and say, you know, I'm an astronaut not because of science and astrophysics, it's because when I was in 3rd grade, I made a little atom and a rocket ship in my art class. And so it's all those, everything kept coming back to art. But when people think, the people with the money and the red pencil, they think of art as a luxury at best, or a playtime if you're at school. And so they never understood, not only is it an investment, but how important it was. So we wanted to be able to give them what they like, data, cold facts. There's like 30 years of data floating around all over the country, within the same school, the kids that did not have instrumental music or choir, and compared to the kids that did, but in the same sort of IQ and reading level, and how disparate those scores were. So then we did that. We gave President Obama a 72-page document that you can go online and look at. It is just amazing. Anytime anybody wants to try to get money and to say, you know what, person that only believes in numbers, here are the numbers. So you can use that for getting your funding for whatever your arts needs are with young people. But then the next year we said, okay, well, let's set out to prove it. So instead of going to, Baldwin Hills or somewhere where there is support and families would be taking their kids to the museum anyway, we said, we're going to go into the lowest performing schools in the country. So we started with a pilot program of about 10 schools. The bottom 2% of poverty level in the country, and also the performance. Anyway, one of my schools was the lowest performing school in the country. It was in Louisiana, in New Orleans. There was, in those years, Louisiana was last. So within 3 years, we went from like a F- to a C+, and now we're a B- school. And that was only 3 years ago. So the thing is, all of our schools showed marked improvement to the point that some of the comparable schools in the district, people were trying to transfer in, thinking they were magnet schools. But and what we did was brought arts, integrated it in to the curriculum. Some of the classes were after school, you just wanted to do some art, but the most important thing is we weren't trying to breed artists. We were trying to say how much art is part of a human being. And everybody is part of your development, exercising your creativity. And so we would get the math teacher. First of all, we brought in arts professionals, teaching professionals, and they all worked together. And the faculty themselves came up with the strategies. So we end up with long division boogaloo when you get the math teacher to work with the dance teacher, and literally keep teaching kids how to, how to divide with their feet and the taps and all that. All kinds of strategies, but anyway, so that's what we did. We need to make sure that education is a priority. I would think it's a national security issue. Until we fund it the way it should be funded, we also right now have the ability to reform schools using that simple method. We had a template. We're now in 68 schools, hoping to expand, but we've cut off from the President's Committee, and we are now an entity unto ourselves. It's called Turnaround Arts. But you can go online and look at that.
Oh, that's great.
So, see,
Yeah.
I told you you better ask me a question.
That's right.
I was born, then I went to school.
Were you exposed to arts classes in school? Is that what kind of spurred?
Well, you know what? I say to kids, I am on the President's Committee. I was on the President's Committee on Arts and Humanities, not because I am particularly talented, because there's lots of other talented people. It's not because I'm on the screen, because there's lots of people on the screen. But I am on the President's Committee. He asked me to be on that committee because of who I was as a citizen. And who I am as a citizen is because, okay, let me give you this. And I keep turning away from you because I don't want to leave you all out. Actors never let somebody be behind their back, just like gangsters. So, say in my school, 400 kids, back to school night, maybe you could get 7 parents to come back. There's a high incident of substance addiction, abuse, incarceration, and the parents that were there were working and couldn't come, all kinds of things, but nobody came out. But if you say Alfre, Forrest, Sarah Jessica, Carrie, and I'm forgetting some of our other initial artists, if they're coming to school, the parents go, I'm coming tonight. And so then what you do is, we were just kind of the fire ships. Then you talk about really what your success is due to. And then we leave in our wake all the teaching professionals, and it actually brings visibility locally to those schools, and we try to make sure we encourage local partnerships, because they're going to need the long-range people supporting them locally. But you know how it is, it takes somebody else coming in to tell you your kids are special before you go like, oh yes, well I'll invest in that. So then I would say, the reason that I'm on this committee is because my mama went to back to school night. And when the teacher called and said, Alfre won't shut up, my mama didn't call up and say, B, would you leave my kid alone? My mom said, you got to shut up. And we're all going to talk about it. And so not only, and that feels good. At first it's like, oh Lord, but you need to feel surrounded. You need to feel that the adults around you are invested in you. And so I said, that's why I'm here. Is that me? Every time I move. Yeah. Okay, let me be still. Is that everybody around me took an investment and wouldn't let me screw around. Of course I still did, but I mean, you know that's when you become a citizen, and that's what we're doing. That's what the arts does, even in the adult population. That's why public art is so important to the health of a society. So, what did you have to say?
What was your journey into getting into acting? Was it school? Was it?
I was an athlete.
Okay.
I like sports. I didn't really like movies because I was the youngest, and my siblings, my brother and sister, they liked The Thing, The Blob, The Creature from the Black Lagoon. So I would get dragged to the theater. I never had a choice of what I wanted to see anyway. So I just like popcorn, which is why I still just like to go for the popcorn. So, but then when I was in high school, a freshman, Brother Patrick O'Brien, I went to a co-ed Catholic school. Brother Patrick O'Brien was a big film buff, and he was a Christian brother, and he would choose a film, and they shut down the school, 750 kids, once a month, bus everybody to the cinema to show them Citizen Kane, Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner, I'm blanking on Sundays in Sabelle was the one that used to get me. And I would sit there, and everybody had to write a dramatic criticism after that. You had to discuss it in every humanities and language class that week. And I remember first we were PO'd because you're like, this is not a movie, we gotta read. It was all subtitled. But then you sit there like sucking on a Twizzler and getting completely emotional at 14 years old, looking at a film about how a little girl is left at the orphanage every week because her father can't get there, and this substitute guy becomes her father that takes her out, but he can only see her that once a week. And so there I am sitting in Tulsa with my plaits sticking straight out and getting weepy looking at this big screen, and it was just, all of those films and those experiences, I wanted to be a part of that. And it was also, speaking of activism, it was a particular time of man. Malcolm, Medgar, Martin, Bobby, everybody had been shot. And that was a big deal. You just can't underestimate what that does to a generation. And it became that defining moment that that's still being played out. That's the red and the blue, frankly, still being played out. That's whether you went to Vietnam or didn't, or whether you went and came back and protested against having to have done it. And so, and I was in a Jesuit setting, which is the focus, a branch of Catholicism that is focused towards action and education and service, especially to the poor. And so it was all happening at the same time. I think I started walking precinct with my parents when I was 10 years old. So I always had, a social consciousness. We didn't know what it was, it's just what you did, the things that you were taught. So right then, that whole "what would Jesus do" is when that first came up. And so the people that were teaching us all these things that actually eventually became what people call liberation theology was all crashing together when I discovered what I still call the most powerful tool in the history of man, the moving image. It was like, this is how we will make change. This is how we will bring justice. This is how people do it. This is how we bring harmony and health. And so I decided that's what I wanted to do, was to join that.
So you started your acting career on Broadway doing theater.
Well, that's kind of a, what's that place? Wikipedia. They can make sweeping statements. I ran track. I was not a track star. I was doing all these funny things. Well, I did I did a play on Broadway. I was a standby, and then I got to go on some nights and do it.
Okay.
But I got trained on stage because when I discovered that this is this thing that I wanted to do, that's how it paid my way to be among the family of man. I instinctively knew that you know, for anything that you feel sincere about, you have to honor it by training and turning whatever gift or talent you have or you think you have into a skill so people can depend upon it. And so I immediately said, I gotta go train. I was still in high school, so I started to look at colleges because back then we thought if you didn't go to college, you would fall into a crevice and that'd be that. And also, you know, we're the children of strivers. And I could afford to go to college, and I had the grades to go to college. We know now that you have a whole wall full of post-grad degrees, and, but you know, we keep changing and living. But, so I looked for a college experience that I could start in a professional training program right then. And so I chose BU, Boston U, because you know, stage training, yeah, it sets you up for whatever you want to do, but my whole intention was always for film. And so I went and got trained that way.
So we have seen you play a lot of different characters throughout your career. Who would you say is your favorite character or role that you've done thus far?
Okay, I've got a couple of favorites. And it'll tell you a lot about me within my favorites. Years ago, I did this thing called Miss Firecracker. It was with Holly Hunter, Mary Steenburgen, Tim Robbins, Scott Glenn, am I forgetting? But anyway, a character called Popeye Jackson. You really have to rent it or download it or whatever. Miss Firecracker, it's just really great. So Popeye Jackson, who accidentally, she wore these big pop bottle glasses. That's a whole long story, but she accidentally put some herb drops in her eyes, and then all of a sudden she couldn't see. Anyway, so that Popeye is somebody that I would love to have dinner. I love to hang out with. I really liked a character called Wanda from Holiday Heart. Yay! I love Wanda. And people say like, oh, you played a crackhead. I said, no, I played a writer with a substance addiction. She thought she was all the way Terry McMillan, and she could have been. I mean, she was just a come around the way, but you know, she got derailed and all that. But I loved how when other people think that somebody's not capable or not worthy, I love how people don't apologize for their presence. And she has some scenes where she just, you know, she acts like she is all of that. And so anyway, I like her sense of worthiness that she had. Those are my top two.
Top two.